Boy, oh boy, oh boy. What do we have here? This is the EULA to Escape from Tarkov. Why do I have the EULA to Escape from Tarkov up? That is because I want to see what exactly they say on YouTube videos. That I basically want to know what does BattleState Games have as legal justification to DMCA an entire channel out of existence. Okay. Let's go here. Terms used in the agreement. Games. Okay, so game. Standard. All of this is all of this is standard fare. Okay, terms for conclusion of this agreement. Again, standard fare. Here we go. User rights and bounds of the game. 4.1. User has the right to use the game in the following ways. 4.11. To reproduce the game client by installing it on their PC or other device with requisite technical characteristics. Okay, pretty standard. 4.1.2. To use the game via internet by remote access by means of the game client. In mandatory observance of conditions of key documents which propose that the user has the right to A. Create and delete an account, to use the basic function program, and C. Perform other actions permitted by the licensor, or rather BattleState Games. And 4.3. Okay, 4.13, to change the bounds of use of the game in accordance with conditions posted on the game's website. Okay. So what does this have to do with YouTube? User doesn't... 4.2. The user does not have the right to distribute the games for commercial. That's standard. To distribute commercial... Hello. We possibly do have something for justification. To distribute for commercial or non-commercial purposes, audio-visual elements, images, or other intellectual property present within the game unless permitted by the licensor, including copying, transmitting, distributing, publishing, or otherwise using information and or intellectual products posted on the game's website and game's resources without the express written permission of the licensor. Okay. 4.2.3, to distribute game elements for commercial or non-commercial purposes. 4.2.4, to copy elements of the game unless it's expressly envisioned. I don't know what that word means. By this agreement or the key documents. To reverse engineer. To use the game by means other than those envisioned by the game or rules of the game and not envisioned by the gameplay. To translate the game into other languages without the express written without the consent. Transfer rights in return in relation to the game for commercial. Okay, you can't transfer your account. Use another user's account to dispose or transfer the account to another user's account. To use automated scripts for collecting information for other type of action with the game and its elements. Use the game in ways not provided by hereby, blah, 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 blah. User shall, 4.3, independently take steps to ensure the security of their account. Fulfill the instructions of BattleState Games Limited and of the licensor individually as part of the group. Okay. On demand of BattleState Games Limited or of the licensor in connection with the conclusion and performance thereof, confirm their personal data. Under no circumstances shall to perform the following actions, either in full or part. 3.4. Oh, derivative works. Copying or reproduction. Ciphering source code. Amendment. Decomposition. Okay. Or creative of derivative works based on or connected with the game client or directly of the game. Okay, fraud. Fraud, use, offer, advertisement, provision, and or the distributing of the following actions or complicitly therein. A. Override limitations. Methods affecting the course of the game or simplifying it, including code taking advantage of the game vulnerability, thus giving the user and or any other user advantages. Automated access to the games, i.e., any code or software not expressly permitted by BattleState Games Limited, and allowing the user to manage the game or some component of the game automatically, such as controlling a character in-game, computer hacking, i.e., access to the game software or its modifications not expressly permitted by BattleState Games Limited, and or any code or software not expressly permitted by BattleState Games Limited. It may be used in connection with the game launcher application or any other functions of the game launcher. Okay. Prohibited commercial use. Use either in total or individual parts of the application launcher. Okay. Not expressly permitted by BattleState Games, including limited by other games, including, among other things, use of the game in commercial establishment, to collection of game money items, blah, 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 for sale outside the game, provision of game services such as raising the level in exchange for payment outside the game, or transfer or facilitation of distribution, either by text or audio means or by any other method of commercial advertising or offers through within the scope of the game. Cybersport, use of the games for organizing cybersports or group competitions sponsored, promoted, or motivated by any commercial or non-commercial organization without obtaining Oh, wow. They actually banned cybersports? Wow. Data retrieval. Use of the game software that captures or collects, counts, or otherwise retrieves information produced or stored by the game launcher application or the game at the same time. However, BattleState Games Limited has the right, at its own exclusive and absolute discretion, to permit the use of certain outside user interfaces, use of program defects. Okay, can't use shortcomings, unauthorized connection, facilitation of an unauthorized connections, installation or support of unauthorized connection to the game, including, among other things, any connection to an unsanctioned server that emulates or attempts to emulate the operation of the game, as well as use of any connection outside programs or instruments not expressly authorized by BattleState Games Limited. Okay. Attempts to sell any version of the game, issue licenses, sub-licenses for them, to provide them temporary use of lease, lending, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right. Basically, the document of doc, uh, doctrine of first sale does not apply here. Okay. 4.3.5 reimburse BattleState Games Limited or other users of the game and or other third parties for any losses incurred thereby as a result of actions on the part of the user, including connection with the breach of this agreement, blah, 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 blah. 4.3.6 promptly notify BattleState Games Limited of any unsanctioned use of the account, hacking, or other such actions. Okay. A point in a hacker's favor, however, is that if somebody reports a hacked account, then your host, BattleState Games. Why? Because there is because you banned the account of somebody using a stolen credit card. Rather than working with the individual at hand, the thief got the credit card, used it, and is still using it. Okay. 4.3.7 observe other requirements and obligations prescribed therein and by the key documents. Beta testing. Section 5. If the user participates in beta testing of the game, the user requires the status of a beta tester. Beta tester is carried out exclusively for assessing possibilities of the game and identifying errors. BSG bears no liability for events taking place on beta testing. After beta testing, all values will be deleted from the accounts, other than agreed cases bordering performance of public beta testing. User confirms that they take part in beta testing at their own risk and understand that the game might include bugs. Any game values deleted at any other time, other than agreed cases during performance of public beta testing. BattleState Games Limited and or licensor shall not bear liability for ensuring uninterrupted access to the game to public to take part in beta testing. User must undergo an authorization process and participate in the beta testing personally. Okay, if I was Big Fry, nothing in 5.1 states that there is an NDA. Nothing in 5.1 states that. If I was Big Fry, I would be seething right about now, and I would break the NDA. I would break the gag NDA and make BattleState Games DMCA his video. All right, enough about that. Let's go on. Rights and obligations of BattleState Games Limited. 6.11 at any time unilaterally to restrict, expand, supplement, notify, modify, or otherwise change game, including any of its any of its elements and parts without prior notification to the user, including amending clicky documents. Uh, 6.12 to manage the gameplay, technical or otherwise other characteristics of the game elements exclusively as own discretion. To suspend or change the course of the gameplay without notifying the user in advance. 6.13 at any time change or delete any information posted by the user on the game resources, including statements and announcements made by the user in game chat or on the game forum. Okay, pretty standard fare. 6.14 to restrict or terminate the user's access to the game on the conditions thereof, including if the user violates the terms of his agreement or the key documents. In exercising this right, BattleState Games Limited is not required to provide the user of evidence of the breach. Okay. 6.15 during the gameplay to give warnings to the users and notify them or inform them of any failure to observe the conditions of the key documents or of this agreement. Users shall fulfill instructions from BattleState Games limited to receive during the gameplay. At any time to terminate fully the right to use the game in consideration of the provisions thereof. To take steps not in contravention of effective legislation to restrict or terminate access to the game for persons who breach the agreement. The licensor undertakes 6.21 to provide the user with opportunity to use the games on the term set forth therein on the condition of observance thereof and of the key documents. To provide the user with an opportunity to download the game client. To notify the user of change of conditions thereof by posting information on the internet on the game website and or notifying the user by email. To control the gameplay in order to observe the balance of users' interests. To ensure the proper performance and due functioning of the game, including information exchanged by game users. Work connected with the technical maintenance of the software databases and equipment. Okay, 6.26 to maintain the confidentiality of registration data used in setting up the account. Legislation applicable in connection with the user's citizenship or territory in which the rights were granted, blah, 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 blah. Restricted liability of the licensor and or BattleState Games Limited. Their authorized representatives and the rights holders of the protected intellectual property rights products do not bear liability for unlawful or other actions on the part of the user. Statements made by the user on game resources, BattleState Games Limited, and or licensor are not liable for conduct. I can speak English today. Of the user in the game and on game resources, including disrespect for other users, loss by the user of the possibility of accessing the account set up thereby. Incomplete, imprecise, or incorrect specification of the user of their data when setting up an account. Lack of internet access for the user and the quality of internet provider sources. Other breakdowns or other problems with the computer used by the user when to go online. Materials of third party posted on game resources or third party websites accessible by link from game resources. Data posted on game resources by third parties may not be considered as reliable and or official source of information. Licensor is not liable for indirect response losses or other costs the user might incur as a consequence of using such information. 6.7.2. 7.3. The user agrees to control their own state of health and limited access to the game in the event of any contradictions. Licensor is not liable for unlawful actions by the party claiming to be the licensor. Licensor does not guarantee that the game will satisfy the user's objective requirements and expectations. Gameplay on the game resources will be continuous, fast, without technical breakdowns, reliable, or error-free. 7.5.3, the results that be achieved when using game software and databases game will be free and correct. Quality of the gameplay aspects of the game, as well as information obtained during the game during use of software and databases. Okay. The game will be accessible for use around the clock at any specific time and during a certain period. Any shortcomings and defects in the game client will be corrected. Oh boy. Any shortcomings or defects in the game client will be corrected. The licensor does not guarantee that, nor is the licensor required to provide technical support to the user in relation to the game client, or other functions of the game or the game resources. Why? Oh boy, this is going to be fun. 7.6 BattleState Games Limited or the licensor are not liable for any direct or indirect damage or lost profit incurred by the user or third parties, even if the user submits a notification of a likelihood of such damage and or losses occurring as a result of 7.6.1 use or impossibility of using the game and the resources, unsanctioned access by third parties, and statements or by or conduct of a third party. Use of under any circumstances liability of BattleState Games Limited and or the licensor toward the user is limited to a sum not to exceed the purchase price. 7.7. Okay, that is going to that's going to be an interesting bit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Section 8 is force majeure. Section 9 is legislative restrictions. Here we go. Section 10. Intellectual rights. Game, including the source object, constitutes intellectual products, the exclusive right to which belongs to their legal right holders. 10.2. User agrees that any element of the game constitutes an integral part of the game's software. Okay, the user agrees that any element of the game constitutes an integral part of games as software. Of the game as software. Are you reading this, folks? Even though the user granted the right to use the game performance or gameplay and use the game, and use of the game may not be assessed as transfer and or cession of exclusively rights in relation of the game and the products. Okay, what they say in section 10.2 is illegal. Here's why. You cannot say that performance of gameplay is integral part of the game as software. So why? Why did they include that? 10.3. The user agrees and fully acknowledges that all exclusive rights to a localized game, graphics, images, photographs, blah, 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 blah. The user agrees and fully acknowledges that all exclusive rights to a localized game, graphic images, photographs, animations, video images, video clips, audio recordings, audio effects, music contextual context, and general content of the game, as well as any other elements of the game, belong without exception to the legal rights owners. I'm sorry, that's not how US law works. Or even UK law. We have such a thing, fair use. Fair use trumps this agreement. That is not what the thing is supposed to work. It's not how things are supposed to work. 10.4, the copyright to materials posted in the game by the user belongs to the user that created them. They're in after the materials. The rights to unlimited gratuitous use of materials constituting intellectual products transfer to 10.5 is where they fucked themselves. The rights to unlimited gratuitous use of materials constituting an intellectual products transfer to BattleState Games in the form of a simple non-exclusive license on the territory of all states in the world the moment that they are posted or published by the user in the game without any counter obligation to pay any authors or remuneration without limitation in time, method, and territory use. The rights to use the materials under this clause include the right to use them in any manner and in any country of the world, including publicizing blah, 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 blah. User undertakes legal grounds also for granting BattleState Games the intellectual property rights to the materials posted by the user in the group. Okay, 10.6, use of intellectual products in part thereof posted in the games prohibited without prior written permission. Trademarks Escape from Tarkov and BattleState Games are registered and protected in different jurisdictions. Okay. Uh, 11.2, where is consideration? This agreement may be amended by BattleState Games unilaterally. Notice the amendment of the agreement is published on the website and or sent to the user's attention by email to the address indicated thereby when setting up an account in at least 10 calendar days before the amendments come into effect. Use of the game or authorization in the game following publication of the announcement to or dispatch of the notice and announcement described as means to consent. Users not released 11.3, the user does not have the right to use the game if they disagree with the amendments introduced into the agreement. In this case, the user has the right to cancel the agreement unilaterally within 10 calendar days to the agreement being published on the game website or notified. If the user decides to cancel this agreement, they shall stand if within above 10 days of the calendar period the user does not express their all right. What's wrong? Here's what's wrong. 10.5. That is the issue here. The rights that is the issue at hand of this agreement. And what do we have that's makes this illegal? The Copyright Act of the United States of 1976, Title 17 of the United States Code, including all amendments, includes Copyright Act of 1976 and all subsequent. All right. Okay. The Hatch Bob Goodlot, the Music Modernization Act, basically prevents 10.5 from going into effect. Here's why. 10.5 does the Music Modernization Act does not allows a license. So I can effectively argue that it's fair use for me to stream a game under the Music Modernization Act without paying a copyright holder. This whole statement right here is illegal under U.S. law. So, what do we have here? We have content theft, and we have and they don't have to pay royalties, which is also theft. Or rather, how can we put this? Unjust enrichment. They basically said, we are going to Nintendo your video. Anyway, this has been a fun night. I am Sanji Himura. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you don't give it a you know what to do. And if you like this content, please consider following my Twitch channel. The link to that will be somewhere. I will see you guys tomorrow. I will see you guys next time